Welcome everyone to a special edition of our Monday night shiur. Before we begin, this shiur, our first Hilula of the year 5782, Hilula of Morino V'Rabbeinu of Avraham Dov Me'avrich, HaMechuneh Bat Ayin, one of the great Hasidic Rebbes in the 19th century.
What does it mean, Bat Ayin?
Bat Ayin is this.
I know.
Your pupil. The Bat Ayin, he had a book.
Why you got that name?
In a minute. We didn't even start the Hilula. You already jump into the name?
Mike, you talk too much during lectures. I hear you all the time.
Now we're going to hear you. You know that.
You're welcome.
Tov, everybody say. So our shiur is our Hilula tonight is the Hilula of the Bat Ayin, Rabbi Avraham Dov, ben Rav David. Average. First, we begin that our shiur. First of all, I didn't plan to make the Hilula. It wasn't in my planning at all. Today I was going to do the shiur, which I meant to do last week. What is Torah Lishma? And then one tzaddik, a good friend of mine, said, "Listen, it's the Bat Ayin's Hilula." And I once did a Hilula on the Bat Ayin. And I'm like, wow, I forgot about it totally. And he reminded me and he said, "Listen, I'm sponsoring at least half of the Hilula." So first of all, our shiur should be להצלחתו, שימצא זיווג הגון, רחמן אריזה בן הדין הברכה, ברכה והצלחה, ישועות גדולות בכל המעשים טובים. Second thing I want to say to our second sponsor, Avraham ben Yosef, he had a small miracle happen to you said with the Bat Ayin. Maybe we share it with us later. How he right away said, I want to give 150 towards the Seudah, and something happened to him right after. So also for you, Avraham, it should be your bracha v'atzlacha. May your son grow up to be a tzaddik. Your daughters tzadkaniyot, good domot bezat Hashem yitbarach. And also to our cameraman Gabriel Chai ben Rumi Veleah, who also chipped into the Hilula, bracha v'atzlacha, yishod gedolot. Hashem yizakeh otcha. Hashem should tell your tzarotecha die. Enough to your tzarot. שתזכה למצוא עוד הפעם זיווגך בעזרת השם, השם יזכה אותך לבן זכר בעזרת השם, בזכות all the mitzvot that you do, that you spread the Torah to so many people. And also this shiur should be לעילוי נשמת שולמית בת יפה, רוח השם תניחיה בגן עדן, לרפואה שלמה גדול ישראל בן רוזה שושנה. Time to send them a quick refuah. And also to our constant sponsors, like I told you, they sponsored for 6 months shiurim constant. They should like a Berkat Harav, something like that. The Shimono family, Israel ben Asher, Michal bat Chana, Yosef Chaim, Avigail Tamar, Elisheva Chana, and Sarah Rivka, Bnei Chana, Hashem yivarechot, the whole mishpacha for Zakat Torah. Hashem should give them, to be machzik the Torah is something very big. So they're coming to be machzik the Torah. Hashem should give them constant blessing, bracha. May he only know good news in his house and in his family. May he only see nachat from his children. Amen. Tonight is a special Hilula, like we said. Who is the Bat Ayin? Why we start doing this Hilula? Where did we get this from? So first of all, I want to tell you guys a special idea. This doesn't just have to do with the Bat Ayin, Rabbi Avraham Dov. It has to do with every tzaddik. Any tzaddik, says Rav Yosef Dayan, that people forgot about his Hilula, people forgot about his grave site already, people forgot who he was, and somebody comes along and renews it, brings his memory back to life, the tzaddik feels indebted to you. He feels in debt. And therefore the tzaddik does whatever he can to pay back his debt. Why? There's a special idea that tzaddikim never enjoy from somebody else in this world. They don't want to be in debt to anyone. There was a very big tzaddik called Abati Legani, a big mikubal, very big mikubal, Rabbi Sasson Mizrahi. When he used to come to shul, when he used to leave shul, he used to put 10 shekel inside the tzedakah box. So this is the electricity that I use. When he used to come to somebody's house to eat, as a guest even, he used to put something on the table. Not to chas shalom hurt the person, but there's an idea in this life that a person who's a neshama, his neshama is a zachar, it's a plus, it's a positively charged, and not negative. He's not a taker, he's a giver. that he always wants to give and never to take. And even when he enjoys for somebody, he has to give back. That's an idea of a neshama. There's some people, in life, just give me. Give me bracha, give me misheberach, give me tzedakah, give me this, give me that, give me money, give me wife, give me this. They just want to take, even when they're married. All they're looking for is that their wife should give to them. This is a safek if that guy is a zachar. It's a safek. Why? He's neshama. Not that he's a woman,
Right.
but his neshama is negatively charged. Why? All he wants to do is take. Hey, a guy is getting married. Instead of giving his wife, instead of not expecting anything from her because she's a woman, but he's expecting to take from her. She has to give me love. She has to give me this. She has to give me attention. Zelo zachar, ze nekeva. On the other hand, we have women that are zachars. That's the things. I didn't say that they're men, Eliyahu. You don't have to also say it out loud. Shalom, blah blah blah. Just listen. There's also women that their nishamot are positively charged. They don't like to take from anybody, even from their husband. They always want to give. Chesed, chesed. Like Rivka Imenu. Like Sarah Imenu. Right? Chesed. Rivka, chesed. Rachel, chesed. Everything chesed. Where did they meet? By the well. Why by the well? What happens in the well? They draw water. What is water? Chesed. Now, man and a woman both have chesed and gvura. They both have positive in them, and they both have negative in them. But what's the difference? In Kabbalah, in the Torah Hasod, we say, in the male, his plus side, his positive. That's light, it's or. His negative is mine, is water. See the difference? By a woman, her positive is water, and her negative is fire. That means the male's chesed, that's or. Now, how do you spell or in Hebrew? Aleph, Vav, Resh. What's the first letter of God's name? Yud. The Yud is the most important letter. Why? Without the Yud, you don't have the Haya, Hove, and the Yeh. You don't have anything of Hashem's name. Because take the Yud out, you could read God's name. It's Hove. He's present. But the Yud makes it Haya, Hove, Yeh. The Yud is the most important letter. Take the Yud and put it in the light. Put it in Or. What do you get? Avir. What's Avir? Air. When a man gives the Or, his chesed, with Hashem inside his life, he gives life to everybody. He gives air. When Hashem put the air inside this world, he turned the chesed into, which is Or, into Avir, into air, into breath. You understand? So a person always has to be able to be a giver in life and never to expect anything in return. That's already nekeva. A nekeva always wants to receive, but also a nekeva, she's also a zachar in some point. How? When she gives birth. When she gives birth, she turns also in a status of in a positive. She's a giver now. You understand? But compared to her husband, she's a nekeva. She's a taker. So a person has to know, relatively speaking, in life, where he's up to. That means you could be the greatest giver in life. You could be the biggest zachar. But when you're next to your parents, what do you turn into? Into a nekeva. You're a taker automatically. So no matter what level you are in life, when you're in front of your parents, you have to respect them because you're always a taker in front of them. And when they're in front of their parents, and when everybody's in front of Hashem, they're always takers. You're always a taker in front of Hashem because Hashem is the ultimate giver. And what's our purpose in life? What's our purpose? To be the ultimate takers. And what does Hashem want to do? To be the ultimate giver. What's the problem when Hashem created this world? He wanted to be the ultimate giver right away. And we told Hashem, we want to be like you. We're embarrassed to take from you for free. Bread of shame. We don't want to be ashamed in front of you. So Hashem said, okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to make a tzimtzum. What's a tzimtzum? A void. What is in this void? Seemingly nothing. Seemingly now there's two in this world, God and you. That means you have to live yourself in this life as if there's only you and God. You don't have to care about your friends, it's you and Hashem. And you have to learn how everything in life is really Him giving you. And when He gives you, you have to be the ultimate taker. But what do you have to do with that taking if you want to be like Hashem? Give to somebody else. Give somebody else who needs it. Tzedakah. Always give tzedakah. Today I was in the shul. A small miracle that happened to me today. I needed some Yeshua, some big Yeshua. And my wife told me, listen, my kid is starting a new daycare. So you know how it is when kids switch daycares. It's very nerve-wracking. It's very traumatic for the child. I mean, for adults, it's traumatic when they switch jobs. Imagine how it is for a kid. New faces, this, that. So we dropped my daughter off. She was hysterical. She was crying. So my wife said, okay. She was very sad. Could you please drive me to the train station? Now it's rush hour. This, that. It's not a 5-minute drive from Jewel to the train station. Now I said to myself, listen, I'm going to miss Shacharit with the minyan. I need to make Shacharit. I looked at her face and I said, listen, the woman is not herself right now. She obviously needs me to drive her. Hashem Ya'azov, I said to myself. Hashem Ya'azov. I drove her. To the train. I drove her and I came back. It was exactly 8:50. That means there's 20 minutes left to say Shema. I go to the shul, which I usually daven with, the shul where my yeshiva is. And they're already probably past Shemona Yisrael at that point because they start at 8:20 now. And during the week from 8:20 till 8:50, you could already pray the whole Shacharit in most shuls. Understand? I don't know what hits me in my head. I said there's a shul down the block. They usually have minyanim every 45 minutes, an hour. Let me try over there. Rabbi Friedman's shul. I go over there. Boom! They're just starting a minyan. Karachi. I make Kriyat Shema. I make tefillah b'minyan. Everything. I'm finishing my tefillah, now I still a little bit of worry inside me because I needed that Yeshua, that salvation. Suddenly a chatan comes inside the shul, you know? He comes and says, listen, I'm from Israel, it's 2 weeks to my wedding, and I need money. Please, everybody help me. Whoever's going to give $100 to my cause, I'm writing down your name, I'm going to pray for him under my chuppah. I really wanted to give, but just that day I rushed out of the house with no money in my pocket. $0, $0. And just my luck, he was walking around with a credit card scanner. I take it out. I said, Sadi, come here. I wrote it down. He wrote the name, this and that. The second he wrote it, I got a text message from that person. Everything worked out for the best. Wow. The power of tzedakah. And I say this to everybody all the time. Tzedakah tatzil mimavet. Tzedakah tatzil ma'akol. You want a Yeshua, give tzedakah. Now the whole story with the Bat Ayin, before I tell you who he was, how did the whole thing to do a Hilula in his day came about? First of all, who was the Bat Ayin? The Bat Ayin was the student of the Baal Shem Tov. Student of the student. Baal Shem Tov had a student, his name was the Admor Mitronovo. Mitronovo. From Ukraine, yeah, Chernobyl. Yeah, just today you heard a story about it. Yesterday. And now today I'm telling you the Bat Ayin is a student. Wow. The Admor Mitronovo, he was a very big tzaddik, Rav Mordechai Mitronovo. Very big tzaddik. They say he used to daven for like 4 hours every day. He was a very big tzaddik. They even said that he was the Baal. I think there's a story that he was the Baal Tokeh of the Baal Shem Tov. I think so. Anyways, his student was this rabbi called Rav Avraham Dov from Avrich. Avraham is Aleph. Dov is Dalid. Avrich is Mem. Adam. They used to call him Adam. Atem Karim Adam. That was his klitschka, his nickname. Adam. This Rav Avraham Dov, all of his life, he had, there's some people, they have an obsession with Eretz Yisrael. Some people, they couldn't care 2 cents. Yeah, they hear Eretz Yisrael, Akol Tov, Akol Yafeh, everything is nice. When Mashiach comes, with the Geula, with the this, with that, they say, the Gemara says, Kimei tzedcha me'eretz Mitzrayim arei niflaot. They say, the Gemara says, like I gave you miracles in Mitzrayim, I'm going to give you miracles in the last exile, in the last redemption. So Rav Mordechai Shrabi used to say, what's Kimei tzedcha me'eretz Mitzrayim arei niflaot? Nun plaot. For every miracle Hashem did in Mitzrayim, times 50, Hashem is going to do in the last redemption. Times 50. That means if Hashem opened up the Red Sea, Hashem is going to open up this time the Atlantic Ocean. Wow. So a guy could say, listen, Beseda, why should I go to Eretz Yisrael? I'm going to miss out all the miracles over here. I want to see all the Nun Pelaot. I want to see Hashem. I want to see the Goel opening up the Atlantic Ocean, you know? It's going to be quite a long Kifitzat Haderech. Nun Pelaot, 40 years in the desert, it's going to be 4 hours. And all this stuff. But some people, in their neshama, it burns in them Eretz Yisrael. People like that. Everything they do, thinking Eretz Yisrael. They're living over here, but they just want to be in Eretz Yisrael. Like this kind of people that are in this world. Why? The Ari explains there's two neshamot. Just like we have four mothers in this world, who are the four mothers? Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. But specifically, Yaakov, who's Adam, had four wives, right? Why did he have, bless you, why did he have four wives? Yaakov was Adam. Yaakov was Adam. Now Adam, as we know, had two wives. Who? Chava and Lamed Yud Taf, right? Chava Rishona. This Chava Rishona, her name was Lamed Yud Taf. Does anybody know what that means in Hebrew? Lamed Yud Taf. Laila. It means night. Yaakov's wife is Leah. Leah also means night. Leah was the tikkun of the first wife of Adam.
Wow.
Rachel was Chava. Now, but Yaakov had four wives. Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. Adam also really had four wives.
What?
Adam really had four wives. He had two Pilakshim. We don't know their names, but he had two Pilakshim. He had two Pilakshim, just like Yaakov had two Pilakshim. So too Adam. This is brought down in the book Mechamedei Shamayim of a very big Temani Rav from many generations ago. He was just like everything that happened to Yaakov happened to Adam, and vice versa. So Yaakov also had four. You understand? And all of Yaakov's children were the tikkunim of all those. Why? Adam, he had carry for 130 years. And those 130 years was supposed to come out Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef, and Binyamin. Because they're all the root souls of all Kal Yisrael. And their children went down to Mitzrayim to fix whose sin? Adam Arishon. So Yaakov is Adam. And also the Gemara says the face of Yaakov was a cluster. How you say a cluster? It was like a copy-paste. Like a mirror image of Adam. Adam was a mirror image of Yaakov was a mirror image of Adam. And Yaakov looked like Yosef. Means Yosef looked like Adam. And Yosef looked like a rabbi in the Gemara called Rav. Or Rabbi Abba. And Rabbi Abba looked like Rabbi Abahu. And a famous story in the Gemara of a woman that tried to make an Avera with Rabbi Abahu. And Hashem saved his life. And they said, the Ramami Pano says, because Rabbi Abahu was Yosef, and Yosef was Yaakov, and Yaakov was Adam. And just like Adam had the Avera with the first Chava, so too Yosef had the same test with the first Chava. Who was the first Chava of Yosef? Potiphar's wife. And so every neshama that comes from this root soul of Yosef has to have a test with kind of like this Satan, like the first Chava. But Yaakov didn't have this test. Why? He fixed the first wife. How did he fix the first wife of Adam? He married her. Yeah. So it could be a person's going to have a test. Potiphar's wife, for example, she thought she was going to marry Yosef. She eventually did marry Yosef, just not in that Gilgul. She did marry Yosef at the end. There was a story in the Gemara, you guys knew the story, he said it 100 times, of a guy. He found out that there was some kind of, I don't want to say, a dirty woman in some kind of island in Greece. He had to go up 12 stairs of gold to reach her, to make it all very exciting. When he reached over there, his tzitzit hit him in his face. Yeah. You understand? The tzitzit hit him in his face, and he says, what the heck? For this one mitzvah, Hashem says, I'm going to give you all the reward in the world. It's 613. I'm going to miss out. I'm going to do the biggest avera. Imagine if I don't, what kind of reward I'm going to get? And he gets out of there. She's like, what the? He left me for a couple of strings? And she ran after him, and she couldn't find him. She converts at the end to Judaism. And then she says to the rabbi, I need a young man to get married. I'm very rich. I could support him to learn Torah. So I have a great guy for you. It happens to be that guy who didn't want it. Then the Ramai Pano says that was Yosef and Potiphar's wife. That's a famous story. Now, why did the whole thing? She got him in there. She got him at the end. No, he got her. Why did the whole mitzvah happen to him with tzitzit? Why did he see the? How come not tefillin? Back then they used to wear tefillin all day. He must have taken off his tefillin too. How come it wasn't tefillin that hit him, or Torah, or a chidush that came to him to his head? Why specifically the tzitzit hit him in his face? You know why? When Chava made Adam eat from the Etz Hadad, what did the first thing they did? They knew they were naked, and their light, their or, the chesed of the man turned into or, into nakedness, into skin. And then they took the tree of the te'ena, the fig tree, and they took the leaves and they covered themselves. That fig tree that they took, that's the root of the mitzvah of tzitzit. When the tzitzit hit him in his face, it was like a blast from the past of his neshama. And he said, I'm not going to repeat the same Averah what Chava made me do, which is Potiphar's wife, which he was Yosef, and he fixed the tikkun in that Gilgul. So sometimes it takes thousands of years till you finally get to that point. Now, but what does that have to do with Rachel and Leah? So Rachel is Chava. Rachel, that's the main wife. That's the tzaddik. That's Em Kol Chai. Rachel Akeret Habayit. Now, from Rachel Imeinu, any person who comes from the root soul of Rachel, because there's two Malchuts in Shamayim, two Sfira Malchuts, two kingships. One of them is called Leah. One of them is called Rachel. Whoever comes from Rachel, they have a crazy, immense desire to live in Eretz Yisrael. Whatever happens to them, they have to live in Eretz Yisrael. But it's always in their mind, Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael. Whoever comes from Leah, that's Almadit Kasya. They're fine wherever. Wherever they are, they're good. Everything, Akol B'Seder. Moshe Rameidu was from Leah. That's why whatever he did, he could not reach. He says, I go there as a bird. He said, no. The Bat Ayin was from Rachel. The Bat Ayin. Everything in his life, when he printed his book, when he wrote his book, the Bat Ayin, which means the pew, why did he call it the Bat Ayin? He named it after Eretz Yisrael. He named it after Israel. Because Israel is the Bat Ayin of the world. It's the Hashem's eyes, Kaviyachol. It's always on Eretz Yisrael. So he called his book Bat Ayin. Now, he loved Israel so much when he wanted to print his book, he said, I'm not going to print my book inside in Europe. Why? I don't want my book to breathe the air of Chutz La'aretz. So he was 65 years old. He took his manuscript. He didn't print it yet. It was all in Ktav Yad. He moved to Eretz Yisrael. In Israel, he printed his book. Now, when he was in Israel, or Avraham Dov, when he was in Israel, that was the time the Ottomans were drafting Jews into the army. He cuts to Israel. Now you think Eretz Yisrael, Akol Tov, Akol Yafeh, everything is nice, Eretz HaAvot. Suddenly, knock on his door. He moved to Tzfat. Knock on his door. To the army. Take your kids to the army. For what? This is not Europe anymore. Now you're under the Ottomans, the Arabs. You have to draft the kids. Draft? What are you talking about? Revolt! Revolution! Karochi, they strip everybody naked. They take their money, their clothes. He just moved to Israel. He's left penny. He says in his book, he says, B'chaz de Hashem, we ran away with our coats on our back. We ran away with our coats on our backs. And my wife's coat, there was a couple of pennies over there left. We brought some bread and oil. That's all we had, bread and oil. And they were hiding in the Qadi. You know what the Qadi is? The Qadi is the Arab, like the Mufti. He's the thing. He's like the clergy. He said, we were hiding in his house in the basement. He just moved to Israel. He said, listen, this place is not for me. I love Israel, but I'm going back to Europe. He says, in Europe, I was a king. He was the Rebbe of Avrich. He was the king over there. I'm going back. What happened? He changed his mind. He was walking one day in Tzfat. Things calmed down, and he heard women speaking from the roofs. And he said to himself, to one of his attendants, Shamash, he said, why are women speaking on the roof? So they started to laugh because he's a newcomer. He says, oh, you don't know, in Tzfat, they don't have storage rooms. They store everything on the roofs. So he says, okay, so what are they doing on the top? He said, tomorrow is the 7th of Cheshvan. Now, over here in America, we start saying Barech Aleinu on December 4th. Over there in Israel, they start 17 days after they start saying Mashiv Aroch Omri Dageshem. So they start saying on the 7th of Cheshvan. So he says, tomorrow is the 7th of Cheshvan. Now, they store things on their roofs. So tomorrow they're saying Barech Aleinu. They want to make sure that the rain doesn't ruin everything. He says, rain? He says, there isn't a cloud in the sky. It's 90 degrees. So he says, what? This is the land of Israel. You don't have emunah? He says, when I heard the emunah of regular peasant Ameh Haaretz women in Israel, he says, even big rabbis in Europe don't have this kind of emunah. I want to reach that emunah. And he stayed in Israel. He stayed over there and he lived and he made a kihila and he was successful. The emunah of a person in Eretz Yisrael is higher than the biggest Rav in Chutz La'aretz. He says. And that's the secret, says Rav Dov Avrich, Rav Avraham Dov Avrich. What is the meaning? Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. Yaakov sent angels el Esav achiv, to Esav his brother, Arza Seir, to the land of Seir, Sdei Edom. It says Yaakov sent angels. What angels did he send? Says Rav Bat Ayin. What angels he sent? Did he send angels or messengers? How do you say a messenger in Hebrew? Also malach, right? No, also malach. You could say malach, right? How do you say angel? Malach. So the Mefarshim want to know: is it an angel he sent, or he sent messengers? Did he have servants? Did he have servants?
A lot.
You know how rich the guy was? Do you know how Yaakov became rich?
Yeah, with the sheep.
What did he do with the sheep?
He sold
They
it.
changed the color.
He changed the colors. He painted them.
No, he didn't paint it with the water.
What did he do with the water? Tell me.
I don't know exactly, but Hashem Ness.
Let me tell you.
It says he was selling.
He cut he took the. First of all, what was the deal between him and Lavan? He told him and Lavan like this. He said, listen. He said, listen, Rabbi Yisai. You guys don't know what the deal was. I'll tell you. He said to Lavan like this. Yaakov was a master of genetics. You should know that. He knew the secret of genetics. XY chromosomes, how to switch, Gregor Mendel didn't know anything compared to Yaakov. In our parasha is a secret of genetics. He knew how to cross-mate breeds to bring out the color of the... Change the color. He knew to change the color of the skin. This is mom. It's science. Gregor Mendel figured this out with peas. Everything he knew. Now he said over there like this. He told Lavan, I'm going to take only the... First he said the checkered. When they have spots. You know, a sheep with spots is pretty rare. You understand? So Lavan says, there's 10 spotted sheep and I have 100 white sheep. Obviously it's going to come out spotted. Yaakov says, no. Don't worry. You take all the spotted sheep. Leave me only with the white ones. From the white ones, they're all white. If it comes out anything spotted, it's mine. Lavan goes, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yaakov said, yes, deal. What did Yaakov do? He took wood, and he made in the wood, in the rods, he took on them, he made spots. He took, you know what machsof halavan is? The white. He took the bark off and left only the lavan, the white parts. And when the sheep were in the mating season, when the males come onto the females while they're drinking in the water, he put the rods right in front of them. Now this is a known scientific secret. There was a couple in Lakewood that had a black child. They were white themselves. The husband wanted to divorce his wife. What is this? This lady gave birth. She cheated on me. They did a genetic test and the baby's his. Happens to be they had a picture of Jackie Robinson right in front of them while they were together. And she was always looking at the Schwarz's face. And when she gave birth to the child, he came out black. And this is the secret of the Chachamim. They say, if you want to have a kid with blue eyes, is that while you're mating with your wife, think of that. The thought of that thing, put blue eyes all over your house. No, I'm kidding. So that's Yaakov. Now, what happens? Then Lavan says, no. When I said checkered, I didn't mean checkered. I mean black. No, half black and white. Dalmatian. Zebra. Million times he changed him. Aseret monim, a million times. Till Yaakov has a dream. In his dream, the Malach says, Yaakov, you think you're some science man, this, that, you're so smart. I'm the angel that you made in Bet El. I'm that angel. I'm the neder that you made. I'm the vow that you made. That vow that you made, that you promised that Hashem is going to be your God, I'm the one that's making you all the checkered, speckled, this, that. When Yaakov saw that, he called his wife, he said, it's time to go. If the angel is already coming to me and saying, go back to your father's house, time to go. Who was just born? Yosef. Why did he wait till Yosef to be born? Yosef is the Satan of Esav. Yosef is the antithesis of Esav. Esav can't handle Yosef. Whenever Esav sees Yosef, he's scared. Why? Yosef is Shemirat HaBrit. When a person is Shomer his Brit, Esav cannot come next to him. He backs away. Why wasn't Esav afraid of Yaakov? Yaakov made one small mistake. The Gemara says, it's not me. Because of this mistake, he had to die in Chutz La'aretz and be brought inside Eretz Yisrael with his body. What was that mistake? He married 2 sets of sisters. According to the halakha, could a person marry sisters?
No.
He wasn't allowed to marry sisters. But it was before the Torah. So Yaakov married them. But even in that level, he wasn't supposed to do that. But the Ari says it could be there was a different reason. There was a girl that wanted to marry him. She was actually the daughter of Esav. Her name was Timnah. She came to Yaakov and said, I want to marry you.
She came to Avraham.
She came to Yaakov. Ari says. To Yaakov. She's Esav's daughter. At the end, Yaakov himself, Esav himself, was with her, came out Amalek. She wanted to be with Yaakov. Yaakov said, "You're a klipa. Get out of here." At the end, she went and was with Elipaz, and out of that came out Amalek. If he would have fixed Timnah, Amalek would never have been born. From that, Kitru, not Avraham, you know, who's Yaakov Avinu, and Amelia, who knows after 120 years if we're going to even get to see his face in Gan Eden. But because of that small, just to learn Torah, because of that small thing that happened, he wasn't Zocheh to die, where? In Eretz Yisrael. Yaakov's all of his life, all he wanted to do was what? Live in Eretz Yisrael. Leah was on a higher level. When he married Leah, he turned into the level of Yisrael. See, Yaakov had two neshamot. One was Yaakov, one was Yisrael. Yisrael is higher than Yaakov. When Yaakov first saw Rachel, he thought she was his bat zug. She was his bat zug, but only when his name was what? Yaakov. When in the night, when they switched him, he woke up in the morning and he saw Leah, and he said, in that level, not in our what we think, he hated Leah. Kiviyachol, right? When did he love Leah? When he fought the angel, the Samech Mem, and then he changed his name to Israel. Why? Because she was really whose Badzuk? Whose? Esav's. Who did he fight that night? Esav's who? Angel. That means the angel of Esav was Mikatreg in Shamayim. He took his Badzuk away. Not only did he take her away, he married two sisters, and you're letting him go inside Eretz Israel? Hashem said, you're right, but only when his name is Yaakov. When his name will be changed to Yisrael, he's also getting Leah in his birthright. Because who was supposed to be Yisrael originally? Who? Esav was supposed to be Israel. How did the Yisrael then go to Yaakov? When he had Yosef. Why? Yosef is the sod of the Tikkun HaBrit. And once he had the Brit, then he turned into Yisrael. But there is another name of Yaakov that's even higher than Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu used it once. You got what? Avraham. How did you know? I didn't think anybody would get it. I didn't even ask the question. Yeshurun. Yeshurun is a higher name than Israel. Yeshurun, huh? Only as a
you said before the Shema.
Yeshurun.
Can you name your kids Yeshurun?
It would be kind of weird, but you could name whatever you want. You can name whatever you want. I know a person with the name Netzach. You know what kind of names there are out there? I know a guy whose name is Choshen Aharon. No joke, his name is Choshen Aharon. The breastplate of Aaron. I know a kid whose name is Zohar Harakia. The light of the heaven. There is many names, don't worry. Yeshurun is not the... But Yeshurun, why? What does Yeshurun mean? The straight ones. There's nothing better and there's nothing more beautiful in life than being straight. A person that has an ideal, a person has principles in life, and he's not going to move his principles for anything. That's called Yeshurun. He's straight. The Bat Ayin says something amazing. I didn't tell you the crazy story of the Bat Ayin yet, but in a minute. The Bat Ayin says when Yaakov saw Esav, when he was going to meet Esav, Rashi says he didn't send them messengers. He sent them actual angels. Mm-hmm. Which angels? The angels of Chutz La'aretz. When he was coming into Israel, who was coming with him? An entourage of angels. Im Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan. This is the Bat Ayin says. What did he do with Lavan? And 613 mitzvot I kept. When he did those 613 mitzvot, what did he create with those 613 mitzvot? Malachim. Those malachim were coming in. But those malachim don't have the right to step into Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, who was coming to meet him on the way back in? The angels from Eretz Yisrael. They're coming to greet that tzaddik. So what did he do with the angels that he was coming with? He sent them to Esav. He said, Esav, you belong in Chutz La'aretz. I belong in Eretz Yisrael. Do you get what the Bat Ayin says? Which malachim he sent? The malachim of Chutz La'aretz he sent to who? To Esav. Esav, you belong in Chutz La'aretz. You don't have emunah. You don't have bitachon. You don't belong in Eretz Yisrael. It's only for what? People with what? Bitachon. Now I'll tell you another chidush of the Bat Ayin. Remember when Hashem told Avraham to go inside Eretz Yisrael? How old was he? The Torah makes a point to say how old he was. How old was he? 75. The Bat Ayin says who could live in Eretz Yisrael? A person who reaches the age of 75. Why 75? 75 is gematria bitachon. When you're in Chutz La'aretz, it's enough to have emunah. What's emunah? Faith. But in Eretz Israel, you don't need... Emunah is not enough anymore. What do you need now? Bitachon. You need to be 75. Like Avraham was 75. Hashem told him, go. I don't know where I'm going. Just go. Bitachon he went. That's why it says Avraham went with Eliezer to fight the 4 kings, right? And it says he went with how many men? 380. If you take the numerical value of Avraham and Bitachon, you get exactly 318. So where was Eliezer? It says Eliezer was the 318 men. No, Eliezer was just carrying the stuff. Avraham was saying, give me the dirt. He was giving him the dirt and he was throwing it himself. Eliezer didn't do anything. Avraham was with what? Bitachon. Eretz Israel is only a place of bitachon. Now I'll tell you a story with the Bat Ayin. This is what made him very famous. Besides for a sefer, then I'm going to tell you a sigula, the Bat Ayin. We'll call it a night.
That's it?
We still have Sha'arei Kedusha. The Bat Ayin, when he moved to Eretz Israel, so we said eventually he stayed and everything get better. Now in Israel, in Tzfat especially, I don't know if you guys have all been in Tzfat. Most of you guys have been in Tzfat. It's really a holy place. I don't know about you guys. When you walk in Tzfat, first of all, like everything is blue over there. Stones. Everything is stone. It's a very magical place. It's a very spiritual place. It says the Chesed LaAvraham, whose Hilula was the 21st of Heshvan. The Chesed LaAvraham, the Chidas Great Grandma says there's 4 cities in Israel. And from those 4 cities are the roots of the 4 elements. Hebron is fire. Yerushalayim is earth. Tiberia is water. And Tzfat is air. That's why when you go to Tzfat, you feel like this level of, like it's mystical. It's like the air. It's the Ruach HaKodesh. And really in Tzfat you have over there Arya Kadosh. You have Moshe Cordovero. You have the Bat Ayin. You have the great Hasidic rabbis. It's a whole. Look, go to the grave of Tzfat. You have over there the Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. You have Chana v'Shiva banea, the Ari of Yosef Karo. You have like literally 300 tzaddikim. Like right, you don't have to go anywhere. You could just go take a trip to Israel, just to the Beit Kvarot of Tzfat. You have the Ari of the mikveh of the Ari. No, the mikveh of the Ari is not a mikveh. It's a ma'ayan. It's a spring. A person is tameh tumat zav. You could dip in the mikveh of the Ari in bita or from tumat zav. It's a very high level mikveh. It's not a regular mikveh. You understand? There's many sigulot to that mikveh. So whoever dips in that mikveh, he's gonna do teshuvah before he passes away. Now there's a couple of levels of teshuvah. There's teshuvah, Ana Hashem Hashem Baganu. Then there's teshuvah. So you don't just dip in the mikveh and say I'm doing teshuvah. So the Tzfat is a very holy place. Plus the Tzfat starts with the letter Tzadik. Tzadik is Tzadik. It's the Yesod, right? So in Tzfat, the Bat Ayin lived, and there's a couple of very mystical shuls over there. For example, I don't know if you guys ever been there. There's the shul of the Arya Kadosh, and his actual room is over there, where he used to learn with Eliyahu Hanavi. You could see his room. You're not allowed to sit over there; it's locked. But there's a room of the Arya Kadosh where he used to learn Torah with the Eliyahu Hanavi, face to face, like we're talking to each other right now. And by the way, a shul according to the Arya Kadosh, the teva, you see the teva, it's in the middle of the shul, more or less. It has to have 6 steps to it. 6 steps. But Hashem, we're going to have our own shul one day. We're going to. You guys didn't say Amen. It's the Ayin Hilula. We're going to have our own shul one day. Amen. We're going to have the teva with 6 steps to it. Why? When the Chazan goes up, as he's walking up the 6 sfirot of Yetzirah. A Chazan is in a very high level. You understand? When he goes up to the thing. Now, when you go to the Ari's thing, mamash, it's like a huge dais over there. You understand? And he goes up over there, you daven, and everything is blue, like the Tchelet, like the Shamayim, and there's a couple of Aron Kodeshes, so it's a very holy place. Now, in the 19th century, there was a huge earthquake in Tzfat, and all the shuls were destroyed. About 5,000 people died. It was a tremendous earthquake in Tzfat. It was cataclysmic. It was horrible. Many people died. That time, people were thinking Mashiach was going to come. It was right after Shabbat Haitzvi, Shem Rishayim Yirkav. Then this whole earthquake happened. They said, "Wow, there's no Mashiach." Rahman al-Litzlan, many people converted to Kritmach after that. Rahman al-Litzlan, I don't want to get into it. So what happened was, 2 shuls didn't fall during the earthquake of Tzfat. One of them was the shul of the Ari, and one of them was the shul of Rabbi Yitzchak Abu Hab. Now this shul is a very famous shul. This is the Rebbe of Rav Yosef Karo, Rabbi Yitzchak Abu Hab. Light a candle for him if you have a chance. Rabbi Yitzchak Abu Hab, many miracles are associated with him. He was a rabbi in Spain, and he always used to fight with the people in shul. Stop talking in the Beit HaKnesset. It's mamash. It's not good. And he was always fighting. He said, Rabbi, come on, you're old already. He was a big posek. He was a giant. He's mentioned in the Beit Yosef. He said, guys, if you're not gonna stop talking in shul, the shul is not gonna be here anymore. They started laughing at him. One day he comes inside the shul with his students and says, start davening. With the students, davening for what? Oh, before you come, bring your suitcases with you.
Family
Said, for what? He says, just bring it. Listen, when the Rebbe speaks, listen. They come inside the shul, they start davening. By the time they finished Arvit, they walked outside. It was already time for Shaharit. He says, Rebbe, what's going on? He said, look outside. You're in Eretz Israel. Welcome. You just did Aliyah.
What?
If you talked in the Beit HaKnesset, you don't have a Beit HaKnesset anymore. So that was the second shul. It's a true story. It didn't fall in the earthquake of. I davened in that shul. It's a very holy shul. Now there's a third shul. It didn't totally get destroyed. Just the dome in the middle stood. No, the Aris was intact. This was the shul of the Bat Ayin. What happened during the earthquake? Everybody, when an earthquake, Tzfat is like houses on top house. It's like alleyways. It's very dangerous. Earthquake, it's all stone also. There's no wooden. The inside is wood and beams. It's all blocks. It's solid blocks. So everybody started to run frantically out. The Bat Ayin says, everybody come to the middle of the shul. He says, Rabbi, are you kidding us? It's an earthquake happening. That's the most dangerous place to be. Just come to the middle of the shul. His guys all hold my gartel. The Hasidim wear a gartel. We wear a belt. They wear a gartel. Gartel is like a special black belt. Everybody hold my belt. And he starts to daven. The earthquake happens. All the 4 walls collapse. Just the middle, the dome. And everybody holding on to him stayed intact. That's how he saved his keilah. Famous story that happened with the Bat Ayin. Inside, I was davening in that shul. When I went to Tzfat, until today, you go to his shul, there's a big plaque over there. This is the shul where the famous miracle happened in 1890-something, where the Bat Ayin saved his whole keilah during the famous earthquake. That was the Bat Ayin. This is the miracle he did. Now, there's a famous story of the Bat Ayin. Whoever takes upon himself to learn his chidushim every Shabbat, or to light candle, or to make a seudah for him every single year. There's known miracles to have happened. There was a famous story about a guy that was very poor. His name was Rav Shlomo Gross from Tzfat, and on the Hilula, the Bat Ayin, he went to daven by his kever, and he said the whole Tehillim. And the Bat Ayin came to him in a dream, and he said, okay, you said Tehillim by my kever. I thank you for davening. How come you didn't make a seudah for me? He woke up the next morning. He took 10 men. He was very poor, and he gave them all a little bread to eat. And his guy said, they said, and then he went to play the lottery. He won the lottery. Until today in the Slonim Shul, I think it's in Yerushalayim, there's a special Keren Tzedakah that he donated every single year, and the Hilula of the Bat Ayin, everybody eats on his cheshbon from that day on. And it's also famous stories about people who take upon themselves to learn from his book every Shabbat, 15 minutes. And they didn't have kids. I heard one story from Elimelech Bitterman. For 12 years, one case, they didn't have kids for 12 years, and they took upon themselves to learn from his sefer to awaken the zechut of the tzaddik, and they had children. So, it's a recent story. So Rav Elimelech Bitterman says the stories
In our generation.
in our generations. And what I'm trying to tell you with this story, it's not just the Bat Ayin. Any tzaddik, I started the shiur like this, that people forgot about him, like the Zerah Shimshon. Remember when the Zerah Shimshon first came out? Mm-hmm. Everybody was going, now, I think they already used it, still going on.
The
but
women
still,
do a lot.
Women do a lot, but still, now he's already known.
Yeah.
But if you find that tzaddik, if you specifically find that everybody already forgot about, they didn't forget about, but it's very, very little known. In our shul, for example, our idea is we always bring the new tzaddikim, like not new tzaddikim, but tzaddikim you guys never heard about. Or their lives, this, that. And I've heard crazy yeshuot. I specifically always light candles for tzaddikim that nobody lights candles for them. Tanaim, Amoraim, Hasidim, Admorim, Mekubalim. Coming up is a big Hilula, Rav Shalom Gadaev, the Rosh Yeshivat Bet El, one of the greatest Mekubalim and tzaddikim. Who remembers him? Rav Yosef Dayan, Lamed Vav Tzadi. Who remembers them? We are here to remember them, and their zechut is on you guys. So we're out of time, but everyone go home tonight. Light a candle for Moreno Rabbeinu of Avraham Dov Me'avrich ben Rav David, the Bat Ayin of Avraham Dov ben Rav David. Remember? Rav Avraham Dov ben Rav David. Bat Ayin, send a message and light a candle. Say some Te'ilim, pray, daven. Don't say that the tzaddik should give you. In the merit that you remembering that tzaddik, Hashem should remember you, and Hashem should bless everyone over here, especially the donors, with bracha, batzlacha, yeshod gedolot. Hashem should bless you guys that you guys should have good children with Hashem. Hashem should bless you guys. You should have shalom bayit with Hashem. Hashem should bless you guys with parnasa tova, shefa geula shlema. L'chein yatzom v'nomar, amen. Yavi Hananiah v'nakashia omer.